Hello, Gold participants and listeners from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC for Gold Learning. And in our series of Meet the Speaker, we have here with us today Professor Rebeccah Slater. Welcome.
Hello.
It's so lovely to have you here today. And you are a part of the pain management in the NICU add-on package. Your presentation is part of that. And we will talk about that in just a little moment. But Rebeccah, can you tell us where in the world you are located first?
So I'm based at the University of Oxford and I'm in the John Radcliffe Hospital at the neonatal unit.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Because we have an international audience, it's always so nice to know where our speakers are from. And so we get a little bit of a picture, where we can imagine you being there in Oxford. Wonderful. So, Rebeccah, tell our listeners and us here a little bit about yourself. Anything you would like to share about your professional background, any interesting research you're doing at this moment. That would be lovely.
Yeah, of course. So I'm a professor of paediatric neuroimaging in the paediatric department at Oxford University, and I've been working on the neonatal unit here for about 10 years or so, and I'm really interested in the development of pain perception in human infants and how we can better understand the brain in order to provide better treatment for infants who have necessary painful experiences while they're being looked after in hospital. My background is when I started off by doing a degree in physics actually, and then I changed to neuroscience, and now I'm looking at brain imaging and using both sets of skills.
That's very interesting, very fascinating. So you're an expert on the development of human pain. Um, tell me this, Rebecca. I'm not an expert in this field, so but help me understand. It seems to be for a very long time that there was this opinion around in the world of experts and doctors that neonates or babies or little, ones do not feel pain as we feel it. Where does this come from? What is the background on that?
So around 30 or 40 years ago, it was thought that the baby's nervous system might be too immature to process pain in the same way as an adult. And some of the observations that people saw, such as that they might reflex away from a painful stimulus, was thought to be reflexive rather than necessarily involving the brain. And also, because we all experience childbirth, which we assume is
Right.
painful, there was an idea that the lack of memory of pain in early life might in some way relate to a lack of experience. But really, in the last 30 or 40 years, some of these concepts have been changed. And now I think most people would accept that babies feel pain and we need to find the best ways of treating pain in this population.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you for giving us a little bit of a history background there. That was interesting. Um, so you said you are involved in research of the development of human pain. Can you tell us a little bit how this research, how do you do that? How does that work, your research? How do you get to the, yeah, explain a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So I'm physically based on the neonatal unit at the John Radcliffe Hospital, and here babies who are born early or sick are admitted to hospital, and then they can receive intensive care or special care. And during this time, it's required that they have a number of procedures done to them to help support their development and to provide essential medical care. But sadly, some of these procedures can be painful. For example,
Right.
they might have blood tests done, or they might be ventilated and have sort of tubes put in and out. And so during these procedures, we want to find the best ways of treating their pain.
Mhm.
And so what we can do is monitor the babies when they're having these clinical procedures done anyway to see the
Mhm.
kind of changes that happen in their brain and at different parts of their nervous system. So, for example, we can look at reflexes or change in heart rate. And if we put all of these measures together, then it can be possible to try and better understand what's happening when a baby has something done to them that is thought to be painful.
Mhm. Mhm. And how many babies are in your study presently?
So I've been working on this for over 10 years and I've
Mm,
studied more than 1,000 babies. We
wow.
run lots of different studies. So I've got a research group of about 20 people. This is
Mhm,
includes doctors and neuroscientists and engineers and statisticians. And we all work together to address a number of questions. And some of those are basic science questions, such
mhm,
as, what happens as your brain develops. And then others are more clinically applied questions. Can we use our understanding to better provide treatment and management of pain?
mhm. Absolutely fascinating and such an important topic. It is so important to find ways to, minimize pain of these little ones that have to endure so many medical procedures there. That's wonderful work you're doing there as well.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. Babies can't talk, so we need other ways
no,
to work out
it,
whether they're in
it,
pain.
exactly, exactly. They can't talk. And do you see a difference now? And this is maybe a little bit too much into the topic here, but like, and you're mentioning very sick, premature babies. Obviously, it depends also how premature they are. Do you see in your study differences on how, by the age of the baby, um, in your study there,
We
in your
certainly
research
do.
group?
So we look at babies from as young as 24 weeks gestation. So this is babies who are born very early, right up until their term or even older. And there's a huge amount of development over this period, and it changes the way they respond to their environment, including the
Mhm.
way they respond to painful procedures. I'm
Yeah.
certainly going to be able to touch on that in my lecture.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, and as you just mentioned, it's in recent years, there's been such progress in how early a baby born can survive, 24 weeks and such. And this research is so vital because, these babies, this earlier they're born, the more intervention they probably need. So it is so important to find ways to give good
Exactly.
care
From
to them. Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your presentation. So tell us, your presentation is titled The Development of Human Pain. So what will you be presenting there?
So I'm going to tell us a little bit about the history of the measurement of pain in babies and some of the challenges and why some of the measures that we currently use may potentially underestimate the amount of pain babies are experiencing. I'm then also going to talk about some newer approaches to try and measure pain in babies, including brain imaging, such as
Mhm.
measures taken using EEG or fMRI. And then I'm going to tell you about some of the specific questions that we've been asking over the last 10 years in terms of what happens to the brain when we do painful things, how this changes as the babies get older, and some
Mhm.
results from a clinical trial that we've published recently.
Wonderful. Have your questions changed since you're mentioning you have been doing this for over 10 years? In the last 10 years, there have been a lot of medical advances too. So have your questions changed with?
They certainly have. I mean, understanding pain in babies is still a relatively new field. As you said,
Yeah.
it wasn't that long ago where people questioned whether babies could feel pain at all. And so we're only now really getting to a point where we can make objective, quantifiable measures of what happens to an infant during these experiences. And by doing that, we can then start to ask whether the drugs that we're providing, or indeed the comfort measures we're providing, are actually beneficial
Wonderful.
and optimal.
So before I let you go, my very last questions here. So with your presentation, what are you hoping that our delegates will take away from it?
Hopefully, they'll understand why I've been on this 10-year journey trying to better understand the development of human pain and why it's so important to clinicians, parents, and this very vulnerable population.
Well, Professor Rebecca Slater, thank you so much for sitting down here with me today and answering my questions here.
A pleasure.
This presentation, The Development of Human Pain by Professor Rebecca Slater, is part of the Pain Management in the NICU lecture pack. Information about this presentation and the other presentations in this lecture pack, please visit goldlearning.com. Thank you everyone for listening, and thank you one more time to Professor Rebecca Slater. Bye bye everyone.